coaches at the same time. So speaking of players, coaches, we've done this segment in the past. This is our American Scouser TV stock up, stock down segment. So Paul and I are going to give a couple players, coaches, clubs, not two of each, just two in general, that we are, if we are putting our own money or our newly found marketing dollars, where we would invest as a stock. So is it something on the rise? Is it something on the decline? Paul, you can start with someone on the up or on the downward trajectory, whichever you choose. What do you think?
A little bit of panic because I usually like prepare a little bit for this and realized I didn't have anybody on the up. I was just being such a downer today. But I'll go ahead and go. I'll go ahead and start. I'll just out of the gate. I'll say for my up, let's go ahead and pick Wolves. I mean, like what, 6 on the bounce unbeaten? Kind of wild, dude. Especially how they're doing it, like scoring goals, not really conceding it. Like beginning of the season, they were just like they're like a pasta strainer. Like everything just ran through them. There was nothing that kept people from just like running at them. And so I would say them for now. I don't know how sustainable this is because I think they're probably going to lose Cunha, and I think they're probably going to lose some pieces over the summer. So I don't know how sustainable this is, but it's been impressive to say the least. From basically relegation fodder to like charging up the table.
Yeah, truthfully, I'll think of a new one before we come back to it. But I had Vito Pereira as my up because I feel like his stock has risen at this point as manager. I think he's done a really, really good job since he's been there. I mean, the numbers are just unreal. The defensive metrics that he's put up, like the organization he's given them. And you're right, they're going to lose players. But the one nice thing about Wolves is they do buy well. Like they reinvest the money when they spend. They do it pretty well. And I do expect them to sign a few players and make a few moves and hopefully use the Neto money and most likely use the Cunha money. And I do think they're going to lose Cunha. That's what happens when a player signs a large release clause so he can make sure the club gets a fee. Another show, another topic. And that guy doesn't even like that club. He was ready to go on strike 2 months ago. He just got a 3-month raise and made the club $80 million. Unfucking believable. I'll give you a stock down, and it's not the player that you might think after my last little rant. I'm going to go with João Pedro, the Brighton striker, who picked up a straight red card for a petulant elbow against Brentford. Just completely lashed out. The craziest part was the VAR checked 2 different incidents because he also kicked out with his cleats to the back of the guy's heel before he even throws the elbow. He's already basically gone studs into the guy's leg and then throws the elbow. I'll say this, good on the side official, the linesman. The linesman saw it and told him. The match official didn't see it, wasn't going to give red. And I'm not sure the VAR would have been able to, because there were no good camera angles of it. Really good. Craziest part is, Paul, that would have been that should have been his second straight red for violent conduct for that same exact flailing elbow. And the craziest part is the last time he did it was also against Brentford. So my question to you is, what does João Pedro and the Brazilian have against Brentford and Thomas Frank's men? Can he just not understand the Danish? Does he not like the Danes?
Yeah, maybe there's a Brazilian-Danish thing we don't know about. Some like ancient naval battle that happened that we're unaware of. We don't really do history in the United States anymore, so I don't know.
It's a great point. We just make our own. We just change it. We rewrite it. It's okay. Don't worry.
It's over here renaming oceans and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just parcels of water. There's just something about the guy. He's got so much talent. And I know we've talked about a player like him taking that next step up and being able to just be this, like, how great a player he might be if he played at a Spurs, or how great a player might he be if he played at Arsenal, right? But then you look at moments like that and you think to yourself, that's probably why you spent 2 extra years at Watford. Like, the book might be out on this guy, that he's just got a 2-cent head, and that's never gonna change.
Yeah, possibly. I know, like, it'll be interesting because it's somebody that I know, like, has been bandied about as rumored interest from Liverpool, right? And so typically, I feel like our administration and our sort of scouting and recruitment is really centered around characters. So it's very interesting. We'll see how that plays out. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I almost feel like he might have taken himself off the wish list
Just pull the
with his
Basuma.
actions this season. Yeah, very much so. This damn Brighton guys. Let's come back to you, Paul. Another stock up, stock down. You can go negative now. You're ready.
Yeah,
It's all
let's go
Monday.
negative, man. I've got a couple of candidates here. There's a couple of big ones, but I want to start at the top and hold Club Brass accountable. I mean, this may seem like a really obvious one and like I'm just dogpiling here, but at some point, Daniel Levy's got to take some responsibility for the situation at Tottenham. That club with that stadium and that fan base is too good to consider, like, to continually languish like in this Europa contention area of the table. Like, and I don't know, like, I think the manager probably has some culpability here too. He'll complain about injuries, but we have been on the bad side of injuries before and competed for titles with them. So we know that you can't use that excuse in this league. I'm not convinced he's the right manager for them, but what I am convinced is that continually changing managers and continually not investing in your squad in a way that makes it manageable for managers coming in is not setting up your club for success, regardless of who's in and who's out. And that's his entire job.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that's a great shout. Management in general, the way they've gone about things at Spurs haven't made much sense, haven't really aided in their growth, haven't supported them. I feel like in a lot of ways, um, I feel like they are really stuck in a rut. And it's not funny because it's always easy for us. It's funny for us when we laugh at United and we make the jokes, right? But I genuinely think, and Chelsea had this too for a period, and I think this is almost where at 8 o'clock we can jokingly make this joke to Timuchin, but I honestly think this is almost the Jose Mourinho effect. And I genuinely think that when he comes into a club, he almost makes things so uncomfortable before he leaves that it literally takes like a few years, almost a cycle of players before you can move on from him. Like, I mean,
Just like a
in United,
hurricane, you have to clean up when he's gone. Like,
I mean, in United's case, you literally had Ole and Ten Hag, and it feels like they still haven't really rebounded. But at Spurs specifically, you know, it just never felt like it was going to work from the moment, you know, from Nuno to to Ange. It just has always felt like this very awkward momentum. And I just think and I don't even mean it like it's Mourinho himself. I just feel like he is one of those polarizing figures. Or maybe what it just shows is that clubs that are so down on their luck and so out of it that they feel they have to hire Jose Mourinho are in such a bad place. It's going to take 4 to 5 years to dig out of that place. Because why else would you subject yourself with such a miserable person to work with? Because this isn't 20 years ago at Porto
right.
and 15 years ago at Madrid. Like, this isn't the special one. This is just an attention seeking irritant that really doesn't bring much to the table except for clicks and drama. And I guess, as Timuchin would say in the Turkish league, that's all we're looking for, really, because we'll give you the drama. Please get us the
Yeah.
clicks.
Yeah.
Give me another, or that was your stock down. So I got to give you a stock down now. I will go with, I went with João Pedro as a stock down actually, so I could go a stock up. Let me find the positive train. Oof. There isn't too much positive. You know what? I'm going to give a stock up to the Premier League table. And hear me out here. I don't think this has been a great season by any means. We don't have a discernible title race, which as Liverpool supporters, that's okay. We don't have a real relegation scrap or battle. And I think that always takes away from the neutral. But I think the competitive nature of the Premier League is what's going to make this season at the end of it all, when people look at the totality of it, and we're going to talk about the race to the top 5 and how competitive that is. At the end of this season, you're going to be able to take the 8th place team in this division, and they're going to be better than any 8th place team in the history of this league. And every team above them is more competitive from 2 to 8 than they've ever been. And I know we've had these years where we have the Liverpool City race with the, 101 to 99 or 100 to 99, whatever it was, the points differential that City wins on. Part of that was so much of the league was such trash that we were almost guaranteed to win or draw every single match we played. And there was little to no jeopardy. And I think the fact that people can say City is really down this year, or they can tell you that the rest of the league is really good and started to catch up while City took a step back. And I feel like that's what happened to Arsenal as well. Yes, the injuries hurt Arsenal and they should have bought a striker. They've also drawn a bunch of matches because they pick up stupid red cards and they don't score clinical goals in big matches against tough opponents. But that's not because the rest of the league's crap. And I think too often we're talking about this league as if it's fallen off, when I actually think this league is at the best it's ever been. And what better way to illustrate that than there is a chance that there is a chance that United and Spurs are going to finish 17th and 16th in this league above relegation and play in a one-match playoff to see who goes into the Champions League next year in the Europa League. If that doesn't tell you how dominant this league is, that our big clubs that are currently the dregs of this league can still go out and make European semifinals, to me, that just says this league is in a better position than people are talking about it, just because Liverpool's running away from it.
Right. There's three European Cup competitions. They're all in the semifinal stages right now, and 33% of those places are English teams. Right, that's pretty incredible. Out of 12 spots across all of the Power 5 conferences, 4 of those places are taken up by English teams. I mean, it's pretty astounding. I think not having a race at the top certainly helps, or the argument that like essentially the league is down. I mean, I think you can definitely like use that and sort of play into that. I look at it from like a holistic perspective of like looking at what I've seen all year. And I don't think the football has been as attractive, as dynamic, as pacey, as entertaining as typically I'm used to seeing the Premier League's like seeing. I haven't seen that in any other football either. And that's all to me, that's all an indication of the fact that greed has gotten to the point where we just continually jam-pack fixtures, and these clubs can't. I mean, we can build 30, 40 minutes, we can build out 30-minute squads, right? But like the end of the day, like you can't have that dynamic, impactful performances when you're running the legs off teams all year. And shit never ends, dude. Like these guys don't really even get a summer anymore. Like, so yeah, I just think, you continue to pack these fixtures in, and the overall quality and entertainment value of football is going to go down.
And we'll talk about a lot more as we get towards the end of the season. We'll talk about transfers. We'll talk about the summer. I mean, we haven't even touched on any of our programs that I know of on this channel about this idiotic Club World Cup and how Chelsea and City have to go play in a 38-match tournament in June. Like, it's It's actually crazy. They're opening the transfer window even earlier to allow teams to buy players, right? But then there are a bunch of teams that don't want to sell their players if they are in the Club World Cup during that early window because they want to use it like a summer World Cup where they hope someone catches fire and Real Madrid pays way too much for, Jaime Rodriguez. Um, Gonna be a crazy, crazy, crazy end of the season and a crazy, crazy summer. So that was Stock Up, Stock Down. Appreciate that. Please, if you're watching this short video, let us know who you think you'd be investing in and who you wouldn't. So we're going.